my Igors and Igorettes out there. Welcome to Beauties and Beasts, a podcast of all things Beauty and the Beast. In my home stretch of my remaining Beauty and the Beast topics, the bulk of it seems to be underrated movies and shows that I'm covering as of late. And the 2008 animated movie Igor from the Exodus Film Group and MGM is no exception. Seriously, I can't believe more people haven't heard of this delightful little horror parody. I know it's not Halloween, but I can't wait that long to close up this podcast. Igor is inspired by the movie Bride of Frankenstein, based on Dr. Frankenstein's famed hunchback lab assistant, Igor, who, I must note, is not in the original Frankenstein novel, but a product of director James Whale, and this film reflects his works more than Mary Shelley's. Featuring an all-star cast including John Cusack, Steve Buscemi, Jennifer Coolidge, Jay Leno, John Cleese, Molly Shannon, and Eddie Izzard before she came out. Sure, maybe the animation is a bit outdated, but hey, this was 2008. Not every studio had Pixar-level animation quality. Before we get into this, I'd like to thank my $5 plus patrons, Arvin Joshua Rocks 15, BellaPinkSavage, who in the chat here says that she has actually seen Igor. Okay, good. So I won't be talking to someone who's never watched the movie before. Spoiler alert, by the way. Also, I'd like to thank Cosmic Trail, nalaxsimba, and TyrannosaurusVenom for their continuing support. Once this podcast ends, I will be transferring my patron program over to Patreon. Another way to show your support is to buy merchandise from my Redbubble page featuring a new design of the Polish and Ukrainian flags together in support of the Ukrainian refugees. All proceeds from this product will be donated to the International Rescue Committee during the Ukrainian crisis, however long this will be lasting. I wish it wasn't lasting so long. As a person of Polish descent who knows this same thing happened to my motherland in 1939, I stand with Ukraine. Just go to disneyfanatic23.redbubble.com, that's disneyfanatic23.redbubble.com, to buy my merchandise, or you can donate to the International Rescue Committee directly. I will leave the link in the description below. Alright, so the movie Igor takes place in the kingdom of Malaria, once a lush farm country, but after the storm clouds arrived, then it caused a drought. King Malbert proposed that Malaria have a new industry, evil inventions. Every year, they host an evil science fair and have all the evil inventors battle each other. Well, all the evil inventions battle each other, and they blackmail the world so they don't unleash the winning invention to destroy everybody. So, the evil scientists are considered the elite, and the Igors, people born with hunches on their backs, are at the bottom of the heap. But our Igor, our main character, who is much more adorable, always wanted to be an evil scientist, but having a hunch prevented him from that dream. He works for an idiotic scientist, Dr. Glickenstein, using a fake accent while working on his own inventions in secret. Yes, master. He really talks more like this. And his inventions include Scamper, a rabbit that Igor made immortal, and with the ability to talk. Problem is that Scamper is suicidal and always trying to kill himself, only to come back. You know, you don't usually see that kind of thing in a kid's movie. Igor's other invention is a robot-powered brain in a jar, and the dumbest brain ever. Can't even spell his own name right. It's Brain, not Brian, as is forever in permanent ink on his jar. Igor keeps his inventions under wraps because if his boss found out, he'd be recycled and used for body parts and who knows what. Meanwhile, Dr. Schadenfreude, the evil science fair champion, is plotting to overthrow the king as payback for the king making fun of him for all these years coming from a family of pickle makers. The doctor's girlfriend, Jacqueline, calls him out, saying, maybe if you were a real scientist, you wouldn't need me to help you cheat every year. And Schadenfreude's like, maybe I should throw you back in the gutter where I found you. I'm going to have a lot of fun with accents in this podcast. Their fight ends with a flirtatious embrace, Schadenfreude saying, "You and Heidi have a job to do." And who is Heidi? Dr. Glickenstein's yodeling girlfriend and Igor's crush. She tries to take Dr. Glickenstein's plans for the science fair, but he thwarts her. After Heidi leaves, Dr. Glickenstein finishes his rocket for the science fair. Igor hands him a 22 gigawatt transducer, I think that's what it's called, but Dr. Glickenstein insists on using the 16 gigawatt. Turns out you should have listened to Igor, because this makes the rocket explode. Yeah. With Dr. Glickenstein, leaving only his arm behind. This is why we listen to other people's opinions, because sometimes they might be right. At that moment, the king comes in, demanding to see Dr. Glickenstein's invention for the fair, as he needs someone to beat out that braggart Schadenfreude this year. Igor seizes his opportunity and says that Dr. Glickenstein is creating life, when in actuality, it'll be Igor entering the invention under Dr. Glickenstein's name. So, with the help of Scamper and Brain, Igor assembles body parts, all Frankenstein style, and the source of its power being the evil bone. And with a bolt of lightning, the creature is brought to life. A giant, horrifying, monstrous woman who flees the castle to a home for blind orphans where she plays with the orphans and sniffs paper flowers. Yep, the monster's not evil at all. The monster's a sweetheart. After leading the adorable monster back home, Igor concludes that her evil bone wasn't activated, and they'd have to jumpstart it by having her commit one evil deed. They try to get her to kill a fly, but she only catches it to set it free outside. And Igor's like, no, you're supposed to be evil! Evil! And the monster's like, Eva? Coincidentally, this came out the same year as Wall-E. Huh. Igor's next plan is to get Eva brainwashed at a car wash style brainwash. Yeah, where she's forced to watch an axe murder video. And Brain, remember him, the stupid one, in the meantime, gets his own brainwash, as in a scrubbing on his actual brain. Jeez. You know, they have really fun with the humor in this movie. He tries to watch TV, but he drops his remote in the bath, and so he gets the remote from Eva's room, unintentionally changing her TV channel to a documentary on acting. So when Eva comes out of the brainwash, not only has she built up a vocabulary, but is determined to become an actress. Yep, failure after failure, after failure after failure. Meanwhile, Schadenfreude and Jacqueline show up at Glickenstein's, find the monster-sized hole, Glickenstein's arm, and the blueprints with Igor's signature. They put two and two together, and Schadenfreude decides this monster's perfect for his hostile takeover. So they chase after Igor's carriage with a shrink ray, but thanks to Eva's indestructible skin, they manage to deflect the beam, and they fall off a cliff. But super strong Eva pulls them up. Sorry, I've been watching The Owl House too, so if I accidentally say Ida, that's why. Brain congratulates himself on messing up the channel, because if she were evil, she wouldn't have saved them. A furious Igor chases Brain around with an axe, screaming, "You made my monster an actress!" Eva thinks they're rehearsing a play and wishes she had a role that fit her. And then Igor gets another brilliant idea. Eva, auditions are being held for this big play, and you'd be perfect for the role. Oh, what play is it? Is it Annie? Yeah, it's Annie. But a reinterpretation where Annie battles some killer robots. Oh, how avant-garde. Yeah, you see where this is going, don't ya? So, Ida and Igor and start preparing for the evil science fair under the pretense of it being an audition. The two of them have a moment on the balcony with Igor admiring the king's beacon of evil in the center of malaria, and how he helped everyone realize that to be a somebody, you have to be evil. And Eva says, well, I'd rather be a good nobody than an evil somebody. And says that Igor is good too, with the way he's been helping her, and that she just wants to be his friend. And so they start getting ready for the audition/science fair. And Igor and Scamper and Brain help Eva prepare, Scamper getting into costume making, and Igor and Eva slowly becoming friends. The night before the big day, Eva gives the guys opening night gifts. She's aware that it's just an audition, but she couldn't resist. A new label for Brain's jar, spelled correctly, and Eva says he shouldn't worry about labels. Whoa, this was made in 2008? And that he may be all brain, but he has heart. For Scamper, she gives a prehistoric evergreen plant that lives forever, so he'll always have company even after his friends are all gone. And Igor gets a director's beret. And Scamper prompts Igor to get Eva something, and he gets the container he used to hide his blueprints and makes it into a necklace. And Eva's so happy to have friends like them. And now Igor's like, okay, so this might be the part when I start feeling guilty and might want to tell the truth, but luckily, I'm evil, right? And his friends are like, right. So Igor goes off debating on whether he should tell Eva the truth or not, when who should show up but Yodele Heidi, who has a card for Igor that sends him straight to Schadenfreude. Teleportation! Yay! Eva, seeing Igor with Heidi, comes out just as Igor disappears. Heidi is terrified, but Eva's like, oh, don't worry. Igor and I are just friends. As his girlfriend, you have nothing to be jealous of. I'm not his girlfriend. Oh, but the way he looks at you, he never looks at me that way. Maybe it's 'cause some girls don't look like they were made in a junkyard. What? You have a very ugly face. Eesh, not so subtle there, are you, Heidi? Eva shakes it off and says that she has to get ready for her audition tomorrow. Yeah, thank you, Bella. Dun dun dun. Meanwhile, Schadenfreude tries to schmooze Igor with a spa treatment and also blackmailing him with Glickenstein's death, suggesting that the two of them join forces. That Igor lets Schadenfreude use the monster in the fair, overthrow the king, and then Igor can be the top evil scientist. But Igor says, well, Eva's not evil, and explains that one evil deed can trigger her evil bone. And Schadenfreude says he can convince a woman to do anything. But Igor just doesn't want to do it. Don't tell me you have feelings for this monster. Igor refuses to go through this plan and escapes by trapping Schadenfreude and his Igor in the hot tub. Meanwhile, Eva is suddenly self-conscious about her looks and asks Brain and Scamper if they think she's pretty. Scamper's only response is an extreme makeover! We all need friends like Scamper. Back at Schadenfreude's lair, Heidi frees Schadenfreude and his Igor, and Schadenfreude kisses Heidi. Hey, no kissing Heidi! And then she takes a pill and turns into Jacqueline! Whoa! Man, what a plot twist. Jacqueline's Heidi, Heidi's Jacqueline, Jacqueline and Heidi, Jekyll and Hyde. Oh, I see what they did there. Turns out Jacqueline masquerades as all the evil scientists' girlfriends in order to steal their inventions for Schadenfreude. You know, I just remembered them showing a female evil scientist in the opening montage. I mean, there was a female one, I'm pretty sure. So, did that mean Jacqueline had to turn into a guy? Or did that scientist have the same preference as all the other male scientists? Either way, it's really queer. Yes, I know, really bad pun. Anyway, Jacqueline tells Schadenfreude about the monster wanting to be an actress. Back at Glickenstein's place, Igor is freaking out about what to do about Schadenfreude. When Eva descends the staircase in makeup, a giant wig, and a glittery kimono, and she surprisingly pulls it off, even with her very, very, very massive figure. Except she trips down the stairs and falls on top of Igor, who says that she looks beautiful, and she does. Such a cliche, she says, the leading lady falling for her director. Well, you're not used to high heels. Oh. Yeah, damn, these two are so cute! Igor is about to tell Eva the truth when he hears Heidi outside. Yodelay, hee-hoo! So he goes to get rid of her and finds her with a twisted ankle. I mean, the nice guy he is, helps her out. And then she starts saying stuff like, for the first time, I'm seeing a real Igor, and I think I'm in love with him. Sorry, it's really hard for me to do this fake Germanic accent. Yeah. And meanwhile, inside, Schadenfreude comes out of the shadows and says he recognizes Eva's talents. And Eva's like, are you a talent agent? Hey, don't blame this girl for being so easily swayed. She's technically less than a week old. And Schadenfreude tells Eva that Igor is using her for evil and points outside to where Heidi is forcefully kissing Igor. See, he has someone else in mind for your role. But come with me and I'll make you a star. And so Eva goes with Schadenfreude just as Igor pushes Heidi off, saying, sorry, Heidi, I've made someone else. I mean, met someone else who I made. And Heidi goes, what? You're rejecting me for that monster? Not believing a hideous guy like him would say no to a pretty girl like her. Hey, sometimes it happens. Sometimes a guy's just not interested. Just go with it. Heidi then turns back into Jacqueline, saying, you're a monster, and monsters are only meant to be used. Igor then realizes Schadenfreude was behind this and finds Eva gone with her necklace left behind. King Malbert then bursts in with Dr. Glickenstein's arm, and Igor admits to having created life, and so the king throws him in Igor recycling plant. Because Igors are not allowed to invent, he's broken the law! Scamper and Brain go after him and end up suspended on a conveyor belt headed towards a fiery furnace. Scamper going, figures, just when I decided I want to live. But Igor's given up, that this has always been his fate. But Brain says, Eva needs you, and you're the only one who can save her. Thankfully, Scamper gnaws off his own feet, remember he's immortal, and pulls the switch to the conveyor belt, alerting the guards. Luckily, they find a secret staircase to escape. Up top at the Colosseum, yes, I know, the evil science fair is about to begin, and Schadenfreude tries to convince Eva to do something evil, to commit to her role, and hit him. But Eva can't do it, so Schadenfreude screams, well, no wonder Igor chose Heidi. She's beautiful, and you're hideous and useless. And he keeps shouting until Eva cracks and hits him, triggering her evil bone, putting her in a blind state of rage. Meanwhile, the secret staircase leads Igor, Scamper, and Brain to the king's beacon, and Igor discovers it's actually a weather machine that King Malbert had created the clouds to gain control over malaria. Down in the Colosseum, Eva is destroying all the other inventions while singing, the sun'll come out tomorrow. Trust me, you will never hear this song the same way again after watching this scene. Igor climbs down to stop her while Brain and Scamper work on destroying the weather machine. Eva wins the fair, and Schadenfreude kicks Malbert off the throne, saying if anyone has a problem with it, they could take it up with his creation. But Eva is still in destructive mode, about to bring the whole place down. Igor calls out, wait! This isn't you! I did create you for evil. We all have an evil bone in our bodies, but we chose whether or not to use it. And someone I love once said, it's better to be a good nobody than an evil somebody. Just as he says this, Scamper disables the weather machine by eating the wires, and the sun comes out. Hey, the sun did come out today instead of tomorrow. I know. Eva then returns to normal, and Igor tells everyone that Malber created the clouds, making everyone think they had to be evil to survive. But they don't. Eva knocks Schadenfreude off the throne, Jacqueline runs out of pills and reverts to her true form, a female Igor. Woohoo! Didn't see that one coming either. This chick is full of surprises. Igor becomes the president of Malaria and refurbishes the Coliseum into a community theater where Eva's a lead actress. Scamper heads the costume department. Brain is still, Brain. Schadenfreude is back to selling pickles, and the hunchback Jacqueline starts dating Schadenfreude's old Igor. Also, Igor gives Eva a gift, a blueprint. Oh, you're gonna make this? Yeah, and if it doesn't work out, we'll just adopt. You guessed it. He's gonna make her a puppy. The end! Okay, remember back when I did Bride of Frankenstein quite a few episodes ago? I think it was 2 Halloweens ago. I said you can't just make a girlfriend. Well, this movie apparently says that you can. To Igor's credit, though, he did not create Eva specifically for that purpose, but he did try to control her actions, just like Frankenstein and Dr. Pretorius did in Bride of Frankenstein, until he realized he should just let her be her own person and found that he liked her just the way she was. Let me pull back into what this story means as a whole. In the Society of Malaria, everyone has specific roles to play, much like society in real life. From the hunchback being a mere servant, regarded as less than human, but our Igor proves he has a brain and feelings, though to survive he has to act a certain way, even talk in a certain way, master. Then there are people like Schadenfreude and even Glickenstein who want to be the elite, but they have no talent or genius at all. So Schadenfreude decides to fake it till he makes it. Even Jacqueline plays a role, pretending to be everyone's girlfriend with shape-shifting pills so she doesn't play the role of the Igor she was born as, sticking with a guy who doesn't appreciate her to do so, because he provides the pills, and so she provides the information he needs. And then there's the monster, expected to be a mindless being of destruction, the only one in the movie not willing to play the role given to her by society. The only role she wants is in the theater. Igor tried to change the game by becoming an evil scientist, and inadvertently tries to submit Eva into the same mindless role that he was forced to play. Until our free-willed Eva helps him realize that we shouldn't let others decide who we are, or how we live our lives, that we don't have to step on others to get ahead or play make-believe. We just gotta be true to ourselves and do what feels right for us. And so, in the end, everyone gains control over their own lives, finding a new purpose. Even Scamper, who gains the will to live and dismisses all his suicidal tendencies, and finds passion as a costume designer. And Jacqueline, putting her self-loathing as an Igor aside, and decides, what the hey, if this other Igor likes me as I am, I'll give it a shot. So overall, this is a fun movie, and I can't help but find Eva and Igor to be adorable, and albeit an unconventional couple. Also, unlike most Beauty and the Beast pairings, neither undergoes a physical transformation, unless you count Eva's murderous rampage, but these two are just like each other as they are. And we should be looking for that person who doesn't push for us to change, but brings out the best in us anyway. Well, Igor gets there eventually, but I think you get it. All right. So, before I announce next week's topic, does anybody in the chat have something to say? Yeah. Thank you, Bella. DF back in 2019. You can't just make yourself a girlfriend. Igor, are you sure about that? Ha ha. But like I said, he didn't mean for her to be his girlfriend. That just kind of happened. Okay. Alright, so next time I'll be doing another Halloween type topic here. Beetlejuice, a prime example of what happens when fans ship two characters more than the actual movie does, and that the spin-off and musical adaptations do the characters more justice. So here's a creepy laugh for Beetlejuice. Okay, until next time, remember, we get to choose whether or not to play traditional societal roles. Everyone should be allowed to follow their dreams, and if you make a woman, you don't automatically have control over her. It's surprising how many times I've had to say this on this podcast. What's with all the men trying to make the perfect woman? Like, literally. I blame you, Pygmalion.